Hi, good morning, everyone. This is actually the third video that I did consecutively. I was hoping to do certain videos at the end of this year, so we can actually compound them all together so we can take time and watch them and go back and reflect before the end of the year. So that's why I started the first one on the 17th, the second one I did it yesterday, and today will be the last one of those three videos. I can actually do it in one, but I am myself a person that if I actually sit down and watch videos that are more than a half hour, I tend to lose concentration and base that on me, then that's why I was trying not to do the videos so long. And I actually would prefer a video between 18 and 25 minutes, but sometimes it goes a little bit longer just because I want to close it with a thought or an idea that can help you reflect for you. And that's why sometimes it takes a couple more minutes, but I will try to keep them within that half hour, 31, 32, if at most 35 minutes, because I'm conscious of that. So with that being said, yesterday I talked about the quantum physics or the entanglement, what that represent. I only describe what represents or what can you do understanding that aspect through prayers. So I only use as to how I comprehend it, so you people can understand it for your own prayers and your own how you reflect and how you connect with God. But I think it's also good that we understand the actual definition of that. So I'm going to touch two parts of what we call quantum. So yesterday I mentioned quantum mechanics, and Oxford Dictionary, and you can look at this online. Oxford Dictionary says, Oxford Dictionary, I'm sorry, it says that the branch of mechanic that deals with the mathematical description of the motion and interaction of the subatomic particles, incorporating the concept of quantization of energy, wave, particularly in duality, and uncertainty principles that corresponded the actual principle. That would be the meaning of quantum mechanics. But when I'm talking about quantum entanglement, which is a deviation of that, it says that when things get inside the quantum realm, which is the quantum mechanic that I just mentioned, it says that when particles get linked up in a certain way, no matter how far apart they are in space, their state remains linked. This means that they share a common unifying quantum state. Now, I want to mention that Nathan Rosen and Albert Einstein did a lot of papers, research on this since 1953. So if for those are interested on what that is, obviously you can find that information on what we call YouTube University, or you can actually go into Google and research the meaning and how that works. Again, I'm not a scientist. I don't study physics. I don't study science. I can only relate in simple terms, but it took me a very long time to understand in my very mature mind of what that is. And that's the best way to do it. So if in quantum mechanics, we talking about the quantization of energy and wave, right? And the duality that represent and the principle and how they correspond with each other, then that means in turn that we have atomic cells. We all have anything that it lives, that breathe, has some type of atomic description. And because of it, we are full of energy. And because we are actually first energy, then we manifest in the physical. So we first are energy, and then we manifest in the physical. Perhaps that's what we see in Genesis, that Adam and Eve fell from grace. But what happens is, and again, I can never emphasize it enough, this is my own perception, this is my own understanding of what that is. And what I see in Genesis, in the beginning of the creation, when they correlate as to Adam and Eve falling from grace, what I take from that is that at one point they were just full energy, pure energy, which is very connected to God. But what happens with that? When you touch the tree of knowledge, meaning that you want to understand the good and the bad, you want to understand that, because if you don't understand, then how can you evolve? How can you become a righteous person if you don't know both aspects of life, good and what we call evil? But if we don't do that, then we have an inability to know what the journey to take. What kind of journey are we taking in life, right? So with that in our mind, in order for us to move forward, we have to dance that energy and become in the physical. This is why now in this physical realm, which is our body, where we live, where our soul is living right now, soul is energy, where that energy is living right now, we have to be in this physical, which is a lower version of God, because now we're in the physical. Is the only way we can manifest, we can feel, we can understand, we can touch, we can see, meaning that all of our senses are active. At times, I also believe that part of the reason Jesus incarnated in this realm as the Son of God, but in the physical, he had it to do that so he can experience in the physical what it's like to be human. What is our flaws? What do we need to change? How do we evolve? Jesus had it to do that, right? So if Jesus, according to the Christians, represents salvation, represents to me the way to go, then not only I have to look at Jesus as what they call the Messiah, the person who's bringing salvation to me, but the person who actually experienced what I need to do as individual to grow, to be a better person, right? So with that being said, now that we understood that part, what quantum mechanics is, this is why I explained yesterday, then this is why it's so important that when you pray in the now and you focus in the now about a particular memory that caused you pain and sorrow, and you take it back, you sit down and you take it back to that moment, you're actually healing that aspect of yourself that already happens, because quantum mechanics tells me, and quantum entanglement mentions, that it doesn't matter how far I am, it doesn't matter how many years has passed, it tells me that I can still make a difference in that one, because somehow we still attached, and we are attached, because otherwise you wouldn't be connected with that emotion that created certain something in you, certain things in you that you still feel bad about. You still feel not bad, but I think the proper word would be uncomfortable. So with that, you have to actually move forward with that and change that. And that's what entanglement means. So you still attached to that. So it's important to understand that aspect of quantum mechanics, because it's still teaching you how to move forward, where to go forward, right? Now that I'm saying that, I already mentioned that when Adam and Eve fall from grace and became human because they took the fruit of knowledge, which replies good and evil, then that means that we have to grow personally. We have to change something. We have to become better at it, right? But we also have to experience. That's why you can remove those aspects of yourself, because you have to just work with them. You have to learn. There's certain things in life that has to happen. Certain people have to cross you in life so you can become that better person. For example, me growing up, I didn't have a regular childhood of having my mom and my dad together. I didn't have that. I didn't experience that. My mom was not a close mother to me, and neither my father. But what did that taught me? Well, that taught me that what I was lacking as growing up, as a child, it taught me how to be a better mom, how to be a better parent. What did I lack back then that I know is needed and required for my children to grow better? That's how I heal. That's how I interpret that. Do I need a time to heal? Absolutely, I needed time to heal, because there's certain things that happened that were still unbearable. I still had to act and mature quickly, more than the normal. I would have to add more mature, and I forgot to be that child. And because I forgot to be that child, now in the moment, every so often, if I thought of it and I still feel uncomfortable, then as I said before, it is my responsibility. It is my outcome to go back to that moment and heal that younger version of me, so I can feel better now, and then I can move forward. But yes, absolutely, certain things have to happen in your life, not to discourage you, but in the contrary, to teach you that you need to change that. You need to change that aspect of yourself, and question why is it happening. So, for example, I mentioned also not only Gemini in the last video. Gemini represents the two aspects of yourself that you have to, what we call, when we see the cartoons and we see the angel in one shoulder and the devil in the other one, you have to create a balance, because if you notice in the cartoons, they're actually listening to both at the same time. They both talk, they both make their own decisions, but then it is up to the person who has the two different aspects of themselves in here to make that decision and move forward. And that's what we have to do. We have to look at how far can I take it if I go this way, or if how far I can take it if I become bitter and anger. How far would I go? How mad would I be if I do that? And then that's how you reflect. So that's why we have to. So in order for us to help move forward with our soul, so our soul can go back in that reconnection that was once lost in the beginning of creation, then I have to help my soul now. This is why I cannot stress enough when I speak about Revelations in 22 verse 14 and chapter 7 and verse 14:2, that talks about washing your own robes. And actually on chapter 7, it is specifically said, came out of the tribulations and washed their robe. This is why it's so important for us to heal now, for us to still work on that healing aspect of ourselves. Now, part of that that we have to change, there's another deeper aspect, and it's about how do you cleanse yourself, right? How do you do that? Because I kept saying in the first two videos, wash your feet, cleanse your robe, but how do you do that? So if I look at all religions as a whole, all religions has something beautiful to look into on how can they help you. So if I want to work, and I think I mentioned this in other videos, if I want to work to help heal my soul, to help heal myself in the now, so I can release a lot of aspects of myself, then you have to look at Hindu religion and Buddhist religion, because they're the ones that master that aspect of you, that aspect of the soul connected to the body and the mind. So that's why they even have yoga, because yoga helps the body flow that energy. That's why they have Reiki, and they use that energy to open all of your energy centers in your body, right? So you have to go to that. Now, for me, and again, this is my own personal opinion, if you feel like you need that obedient connection with God through prayer, through constant prayer throughout the day, go to Islam. Because I thought when I went to Egypt, I thought it was beautiful that there's some places when they set these alarms every so often that reminds them this is your time to take a break from what you're doing and go and pray. There's certain places that still do that, and I think it's beautiful because you're setting an alarm. And how many times we go by during the day because we're working, we're dealing things with the spouse or with our children, and we forget to take 5 minutes of your day during the day and do that. But they do it. It's like a set clock every so often, every 3 hours, every 2 hours. I can't remember. But the fact is that they still do that. Then why can't we do the same? Why can't we set our time frame? And now that electronic is so wise, why can't we do the same? Why can't we just set an alarm and take only 5 minutes and go sit yourself away from everything and everybody and detox yourself from what is happening? Give yourself a break. Give your brain a reset. It's like when you have a computer and the computer is on and you've been having it on for so long. The same thing with telephones. You have to turn them off every so often so they can reset, right? And go back, right? Because sometimes it's overwhelmed and it doesn't work correctly, where we are the exact same way. Humanity works the same way. So that's why we had to take a break and move, right? So that's one thing that we need to do. Now, if you want to learn the Word of God, of how does that help you grow, then all of religions offer something for that. But some people feel more appealing with the Catholics or the Protestant, the Baptist. This is why they have so many denominations, because they found that the first one was lacking something, and then they took that information and recreated another version that they thought it was better. So none of the religions are bad, but what is bad is how they have used that information to oppress people, which I said that before. I'm not going to go over that again, but the reality is that. So instead of looking at it like how it's oppressing people or how can I control people, then find within yourself which one is helping you today in this moment. And I'm saying which one because I was actually doing my thesis paper and I finished my dissertation paper on Andrew Newberg. And he is the father of neurotheology. And neurotheology is actually the principle that study the brain and how our brains react in connection to our creator, God. And he has done many studies. He's actually from Philadelphia, which is studying about that. And I believe he works in the hospital of Jefferson Hospital. And I just show you the book. And there's other books that has the actual research of what he did. And the conclusion that he came up with, which that is why I'm saying this, the conclusion that he came up with, that I read, and that's why I use it in my dissertation paper, is that he studied different people that has different beliefs system. And I think I mentioned this before in other videos. And what he says is that it didn't matter the religion. What he said before they went on this study was, sit down, focus yourself, and you can do whatever you do. If it's prayer, meditation, talking to God, whatever you do to that person that you know gives you peace. Meaning for us, for Catholics and Christians, we call that connection with God. But for other people, that will be, something that is greater than you, your higher self, your subconscious talking to you and finally expressing what they want you to go, whichever one that is. The point is that he was able to, after the people was connecting, they put this chemical so they can read how your brain was functioning. And what they discovered was that through these prayers, and the test was that when we pray to wherever that is, something in here gets connected, which is in the pineal gland, something right here. And this is what Hindu people call your third eye, and Buddhist people, this is your third eye. This is how you comprehend emotions and things and stuff like that, right? So it gives you compassion to people. It gives you love and to understand and care for others and care for yourself. So what he discovered was that what he discovered is that this gets very activated. There's a lot of movement going a lot in your brain when they were doing that. But what they found was that it didn't matter the religion, the activation of the brain and the movement that was doing in that brain while they were praying, it was still the same. There was only one specific group that didn't have it. And the people that didn't have it, what he discovered later was that they didn't believe in anything. They were what we call atheists, but they didn't believe in anything. In their mind, it's like, all right, I'll just sit over here and stay my mind quiet. But because they didn't believe in anything, it didn't create that. So I'm saying this not to push away people who consider themselves atheists, because they have their own reasons as to why they don't believe in this force, and I'm not going to judge them. That it's their own personal opinion, and I respect that. But what I'm saying is, in a major perspective, is not even to mention the atheist people, but rather that it didn't matter the religion, they all had that activation, which tells me that we need to stop separating religions as to which one is better, which one is not according to God and whatever. We need to stop that, because scientifically we're sending facts and evidence and empirical evidence actually through doctors that shows that still gets activated no matter the religion. So my perception with all of that aspect is that if you in fact feel that you need to grow in another aspect of yourself, find the right religion that helps for you. The same way that people think, oh, you should go to a temple, you should go to a church all the time. Well, not necessarily. I think that is a personal decision. I do have to agree that depending your spiritual growth, some people do have to go to church all the time. Some people do have to hear the word of God. Some people do have to hear somebody as a leader to tell them and help them how to go. Why? Because some of us need more help than others in some areas. None of us are better. We are good in some aspect. We are actually excellent at some aspect. But because we lack other ones, we need help in that department. And it is okay. So don't feel bad if you hear people, oh, you don't need to go to church to find Jesus. The reality is, and find salvation and feel God. The reality is, no, you don't, because I should be able to go outside my backyard, sit down and feel the energy of God, because the Holy Spirit tells me he lives in me. So I should be able to feel it. This is what the book of Acts emphasizes after Jesus is gone, that the Spirit lives in me. So it's up to me to let it out. So if the Spirit is in me, then I have to be able to feel God in everything. I should be able to look outside, look at the sky, look at the trees, look at the animals, enjoy the breeze at the sea, the sound of the river, the water when it rains. All of that should be able to bring something peaceful in me, because God is part of that. And because I understand that, then I should be able to feel peace and find peace. But some people, the reality is that they have to see that, but they also have to go to church. They have to also go to a leader that teach them things that they need to do. And that's the beauty of that, right? Now, with all of that, there's also another aspect that we have to look at before the end of the year. And that is the part that helps you. So I'm going to give you a few details. For example, Venus is supposed to be retrograde in this coming time. What does that mean? Well, what Venus is, Venus tells me in retrograde that I have to clean the mirrors, right? That I have to write down certain things that I have to let go. When things go retrograde, that means we're going backwards. That means that we have to go back and still feel things that needs to be get rid of, then we need to release and we need to remove. Now, why I mentioned mirror, this is a good thing to do, because we will look at ourselves in the mirror. As a woman, I look at myself in the mirror to put makeup because I want to look pretty. So I put makeup and I look at myself in the mirror. I also look at myself in the mirror for other times, how I look when I have that on, if it looks right, if it doesn't look right. So I use the mirror to judge myself, right? So if I look at myself in the mirror to judge myself, which is something horrible that we do, but we do it, it's so conditional in us that we do it and we don't realize consciously that we're doing it, right? So why we have to clean the mirror? Well, go back to the mirror that you look at yourself all the time, and then you constantly go like, oh, I don't like this. Oh my God, I look ugly. I don't like this wrinkle. I want to move this. I want to move that. No. So what you do is you cleanse the mirror, meaning you go back and clean that mirror. Use Windex, whatever you use to clean it. Clean the whole mirror, right? And then when you do that, you're telling yourself that you're cleansing yourself, and that when you look at yourself in the mirror, you look beautiful. Always said, oh my God, I'm so beautiful. I'm cleaning myself from that old person that used to judge, from that old person that used to find flaws in me. No, I'm not doing that no more. I'm beautiful. I'm perfect. I'm God's creation. And because of it, I'm perfect. So when you clean that, do that, right? When we used to live in New Jersey, my husband used to have this fire pit. And on the weekends, sometimes we gather people and friends, families, and we noticed that the fire was appealing to people, and that people will kind of like sit close to the fire. So what we will do is we will give them little pieces of papers, and people will write things that they wanted to release, and we threw them in the fire. And then, since my husband is a firefighter, he will be there. In reality, there was nothing wrong with that, because we were just throwing little pieces of papers in the fire pit. So once you do that, then my husband will do this beautiful prayer about us asking God to help us release that. So what a wonderful time to do that. It's at the end of, we're going in the end of the year. So let's just do that. Let's just first clean our mirror and say to ourselves how worthy we are to God, how loved we are by God, and how perfect we are, because Genesis also tells me that yes, we fell from grace, but when we were created, God was satisfied with his creation, meaning he loved us the way we were. So with that being said, you do the mirror, and then in the afternoon, if you can, because I understand some people cannot do it, but if you can, find a pot, find a place, something metal that big enough and tall enough that you can actually put these papers in it and then burn them. Use agua florida. Pour a little bit and pray. And when you write in these papers, you're gonna write name, people, places, and things, right? That's why you have to write names, people, places, and things. Why you have to do that? Because the Bible also tells me that when Jesus was walking on earth and he healed even people from their demons, right? And this is in Mark, that talks about all these temptations and all of these exorcisms that we Catholics want to call it. He actually asked them for their name. Why? When they tell you their name, then you recognize exactly what you need to get rid of. So in these papers, by you saying that, you're trying to write down all those evil forces that you want to get rid of. And I'm saying evil because you already judged them as evil. You already judged them as something bad. So since you think they're bad, you're going to write them down and you're going to call them by their name. Because by calling them by the name, once you burn them, you put them in the fire, and in your mind, it tells you that the fire purifies, the fire cleanses. So then you do that. So then you purifying yourself from that aspect of your life. So not only do you pray, but you can also do that, right? This is the end of the year. Let's do that. So another aspect is that it says cleanse your space. What does it mean by cleaning your space? Well, cleaning your space could be as simple as cleaning your house, cleaning your closet, cleaning your car. Use that energy to clean something that you've been postponing. This is a good time because a lot of us have a couple days off in between Christmas and New Year's. And the way it fell, Christmas and New Year, some people may get another day. Some people have a whole week off. So please do so. in this new year, before this new year comes, right? Because this is a major portal, especially today. Today is December 2121. So that means that it ends with 1221. This is a major portal that is happening. And because it's a major portal, you should be able to release what no longer serves you anymore, right? Because we as humans have to evolve. We have to change. We have to move forward, right? So part of the other part that I want to say is, now you say that. Now there's 3 questions that you gotta do, actually 4. You use all the W's: the where, the what, the whom, and the how, right? So, and why you use those? Because you have to figure it out who you are. Remember in the other videos I talked about purpose and mission. Well, who you are. What is your purpose in this life? What are you doing with that? You know, where you want to go? Is your job fulfilling you? Is your life fulfilling you? Is the relationship that you have fulfilling you with your family, with your friends, with your spouse, and with your community, with your church? Is that fulfilling you? And if it's not, then guess what? Rewind and fix what you need to fix. Go back and change, because now you need to look back and you realize, okay, if I'm cleaning my mirror and I'm getting rid of certain things, I also have to learn to get rid of certain people. Well, how you do that? Very simple. What I do is, for me, I wake up in the morning not only giving thanks because there's another day that I am living, but I also have, if there is a situation that caused me pain and there's a possibility these people are coming back in my life, right? And for some reason, my intuition is still telling me no. If I'm thinking I'm healing, so because I'm thinking I'm healing and my intuition is telling me no, like Kevin Hart, like, no, you're not ready. If I feel like I'm not ready, then what I say, and I say it loud, well, God, you in control. And if this is just because I'm healing, but I can restore, this relationship can be restored, then let them come. Bring them, let them come. But if I am healing, and this is not about restoring, it's about letting go and moving forward, then put things in their life where they can be happy with what they're doing, they can find jobs, or they can get more work, or they can do something beneficial to them, but do not bring them in my life. Because that means it's not me, it's going to create a tension where it's going to take me back to where I was. And that means that most of the time, that by that point, you have to realize you're creating boundaries because it's not you, but the person. So with that being said, that means that you have to move forward, right? So that's what you do. So you you manifest, 2 things. There's only 2 possible outcomes. Do not remove yourself from that aspect. So you actually say, if it's me, if I have to heal this and I can amend it, it's in my hands to do it, then bring them, let them come. But if I heal, and the fact is that these people are in the track of destroying, removing, hurting, and continue to live that way, and I refuse to live like that, then don't bring them over. Bring them, make them comfortable where they are. Give them peace, give them love, give them abundance, prosperity. Tell them the whole blessings you can, as long as they stay away from you, right? And that has worked, and I have seen it so powerful, and that's what we should do. So this is where you create boundaries, because part of healing at times is removing the people that no longer serves you, but now you have to move forward, right? So that's the what, and that's the how, right? And then the where, meaning is like, what is, if you already define your purpose, if you already define what you're doing, then where are you going? So that creates a mission. Your mission in here, what is it? Are you meant to heal, or are you meant to move forward and continue to dwell in that area? Because part of healing is recognizing what you have done and where you want to move forward. You still want to be authentic to yourself, but you also want to be able to recognize certain energies and certain aspects that continue to repeat. Because see, that's the problem. If they continue to repeat in you, if they continue to come back and create that aspect of yourself that you no longer want to have, then that means there's still something to heal. Now, if they come over and you'll be like, oh, like I said in the other video, oh, hi, how you doing? And everything is okay, then guess what? Everything is okay. We move forward, right? Okay, so That will be the other part. And part of also about the whole, the why, the where, the who, and the how, right, is I think we need to stop limiting ourselves. So after you clean the mirror, after you release, right, and after you recognize that there's in fact certain peoples that you do have to create boundaries. You have to learn to say no. You have to learn to say, I can't have you in my life now. Nope, I cannot. You're not going to be part of me. And my point of view, and this is what I tell my husband about certain things, certain people and places, is that I'm healing and I refuse to put myself in that perspective that it still takes me back. So instead of moving forward, I feel like I'm moving backward. No, I refuse myself. And if I'm having a relationship with the person and they cannot respect where I'm at right now, then guess what? I don't need you. I prefer to move forward. So I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to talk back. I'm not going to judge you, but I'm judging myself in a sense that I recognize I no longer want to be there, right? So, and with that, when you stop saying all of that, then the last part is stop limiting yourself. So that means you have to think of life as now that you wash, like Revelation says, now that you've been washing your robe, because you've been constantly doing that, and cleansing your feet, as Mark and Luke mentioned, right? Then that means that you also have to stop saying, oh, I can't do that. Is this not the right time? Like I just did running, and sometimes I feel that my chest hurts so much that I want to say like I can't do it. So what I do is I lower myself running slower, almost like jogging instead of running, and I set my limits. So what I do is I can do it, but I know that the main goal is to finish that 1 mile. But sometimes I just do like maybe 1/4, and then I do half a mile, and then I do 3/4 of a mile, and then I finish that mile, and then that's how I do it. So I'm pushing myself a little further, but not enough where I'm suffocating myself or hurting myself physically. And we have to do the same thing mentally. I always said in the beginning I wasn't good doing testings, but guess what? I realized that I was saying that to myself. I started doing multiple choices and I did good. I learned certain things that you have to learn and you move forward. So I had to stop limiting myself from certain things. I want to do certain things in life that are related to what I have experienced as a caseworker in life, but I also want to incorporate what I have learned that took me years to learn. Because what I studied, it didn't took a year. It took years to learn and be where I'm at. And I want to use that for the people. That's why I study theology. That's why the field is in Christian counseling. That's why the field is in Christian studies. Why? Because I want to be able to relate to people, but also bring the word of God. So I have to find a balance, right? So that's where I want to go, but I have to stop limiting myself. I noticed that at time people were like, "Oh, that's too much," or like you're doing too much, or like the way you think it's radical, and it's not the same anymore. And what I noticed is that there's certain people that pay attention, and although I was so afraid that I was going into a church that were very traditional to the old ways, what I recognize is that no, we have to move forward. So I became this radical person. I'm going to say it, whatever, regardless. You want to go ahead and prove me, go ahead, because I'm in a point in my life, and this is how I'm going to close it. I'm in a point in my life where I don't need to prove or find facts as to where I do and say things the way I do. Okay? I don't need to prove to anybody or verify to anybody where I'm standing with that idea, with that a way of thinking, right? So with that being said, I'm not supposed to do that no more. So I want to be able to speak to you freely without completely using all the videos on facts. I want to be able to express certain things, and it's up to you to use that information that should be able to create a seed, as I said yesterday, where you become with that aha moment that you realize, you know what, let me look at this. But every time you look at it, you're actually learning something different. So that's why I'm more like bringing science with religion. That's why I like the work of Andrew, because he's verifying that yes, God exists in us, but he also saying that we have to open the limitations that we have put in ourselves, right? So we have to understand that other religions are also perfect. We just have to find the one that works for you. That's why I like the work of Greg Braden. He has Divine Matrix. He has the book of Wisdom Code. All of these books are excellent because he's actually teaching you in the science perspective of how can you grow because God lives in you. So we have to find a combination between science, religion, and how does that help you evolve in the now, meaning the ability to connect the mind, the body, and the soul. And that's the whole perspective of all of these videos. And why did I wanted to finish that today? Because I want to make sure that we do what's correct for you. I'm not saying this is what works for everybody, but at this moment, if you watch this video, then that means that's what you need to do. This is where you need to move forward. And I'm hoping that it finds it appealing where you can make a change that helps you. I'm not saying that it's helping me, because it is helping me, but it also has to find a way that it helps you. Your intuition, your unconscious level has to be connected and decide to make the change. And this is where I wanted to say it, because again, we're living this very massive portal where we can release a lot of stuff and let that portal take it, let that portal remove it away. And then in the new year that is coming, which is now, then we are able to start all over again and do it. Because if we look at the world as cycles and we notice that we have fall, winter, summer, and spring, that means that we as humans have to do the same. We have to be able to give fruit to the people, but there should be time when you need to take back and be like, this is my time for me, right? And then there should be a time when you should be able to blossom and enjoy yourself for who you are without any judgments, right? So I'm hoping that with these videos, you find peace, you find, as I said yesterday, compassion and love for yourself and for others, because when you find it for yourself, you should be able to give it to others. So with love, light, and understanding, let us all be blessed, and let's just feel this new year that is coming, this new era that is coming. Let's just receive it with joy in our hearts, and knowing that we can make a difference for ourselves, for our family, and others. So love and light for everybody, and have a blessed day.